Welcome to the red half of Sheffield's new video, I guess we're going to call it. I am joined by the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast trio of Justin, Peter, and Carlos. Gentlemen, how are we doing? It's nighttime in England, it's afternoon in the States. How are you guys doing? If you guys who tuned into the podcast at the beginning of the season listen to our first installment with the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast, this is going to be a badass one. This is going to be a fun podcast / video cast, whatever we're calling it. So, guys, how are you doing?
No
pressure then.
No pressure. No, we'll just let you down now, Chad. Yeah, doing all right, mate. Doing all right. Yeah,
that's fine. I'm okay with being let down. The Blades at the moment are probably going to let me down. So, yeah, what do you say we get into it? So guys, let me ask you this. I guess we'll give this question to the floor and whoever wants to answer it. What are your honest thoughts on Watford's season as a whole to this day?
You want the honest thoughts?
Yes, I want the honest opinion. February 19th, 2023. Give me the honest opinion of Watford's season.
It's been
disappointing. Would be my word. I think
that's cool. That's being kind. There, that's a kind one. Yeah, I would say a shit show. It's been all over the place. Absolute crackerjack of a season. So yeah, and Peter, I'll leave it up to you to round this question off.
No pressure then. Okay. Well, yeah, I think shit show just about covers it. I think anybody other than Sheffield United might listen to this and go, "Oh my God, you're really entitled. Look at you. You're in, where are we now? 8th. Why aren't we obscenely happy?" Well, you'll get it. Sometimes momentum just affects everything. And the thing that we haven't had this season has been any momentum. We have been the proverbial rabbit on a trampoline. It's been up and down, up and down, up and down. The performances have not been great. The football has not been scintillating. We've gone through our one obligatory manager straight away, who is then wound up in charge of Luton Town and is doing a reasonable job there until Burnley went and turned them over yesterday. That was a shame, eh? But our season has been one of massive injuries. We ended up with at one point 16 of the first team squad unavailable. I mean, I challenge anybody to be able to kind of deal with that in the championship and get away with it for very long. We most certainly didn't. We had a change from, as I say, from Rob Edwards, who's now at Luton Town. That was supposed to come with a big change of culture, because everybody who's listening will know that Watford, we change our manager about as regularly as Carl changes his underpants, which is about once a month for the record. It's with that. Well, yeah, I know. Well, I'm counting taking them off and turning them around again as a change. Yeah, exactly. when I say turnover, I really do mean both pants and indeed my stomach. So it's kind of, it's been one of those things where we really hoped we were going to go in one direction, that we were going to be solid, that we weren't going to be turning around to everybody after 2.5 months and going, yeah, we've done it again. But instead, on a flip, the owner of the club changed the manager. No big problem with the manager who's come in, apart from the fact that he's, shock horror, inherited all the problems that his predecessor already had, which is the fact that the squad has been strangely assembled by some very strange people. Our January transfer window has basically been spent trying to unpick the July transfer window because it was a crock of shit. And now we have a new technical director, so we're now going in a new direction, which means we're looking at the owner and thinking, are you supporting the current manager, or is it just your latest toy, who's your technical director that you're now? Well, that seems to be how it is. So, same day, or different day, same shit, really.
Yeah, I mean, you alluded to my next question. So Rob Edwards gets the sack, and then you bring in Slaven Bilic. What are your thoughts on the appointment of Slaven Bilic, who, I didn't reach out to you guys when he got appointed, but I thought it was a little bit of a question mark for Watford, and it just didn't seem a right fit when he got appointed. So what are your guys' thoughts, in his era? And he's got what, 3-4 months left till he gets the sack?
Yeah,
pretty much.
I don't know. I think he definitely split the room. I think Bilic, as a player, was the kind of person that we were always looking for, somebody that's going to lead from the front and so forth. So we were hoping he was going to bring that into the dressing room. Tactically, definitely does some things that you think, I don't know, what has he played football before, and substitutions and so forth. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of his. I think he is the right man for the club. I just feel that he hasn't been, as previous managers, he hasn't been supported properly in the transfer window. The transfer window that Peter mentioned in July was abysmal. The players that we brought in, you saw them once and you're like, this isn't moving the club forward. So there's a little bit of that in terms of trying to get something that works for him, and I honestly and truthfully believe that he has no input into the players that come into the club. He's given the players to work with, and that's it. It's up to him as a coach rather than a manager to get the best out of them. But for me, I do like him. I just think that the operation as a whole, Watford, behind the scenes, is a little bit crooked and bent at the moment. So we need to get that right for him to be able to show what he can do.
Okay, so we have Carl in the Bilic in category. Justin, you were about to chime in. So are we about to split the room here and go 1-1 here?
Well, I don't think his appointment split the fan base. I think the whole fan base were like, "What are you doing?" Because Rob Edwards was supposed to have been backed come hell or high water. That was the phrase. So when Rob Edwards was moved on and 15 minutes later Slaven Bilic was appointed, it was very much staying on that. Well, stop, pause. And the reaction we got from fans was enough's enough, stop this. And there was a big pot so out kind of cry that sort of went with that. Fast forward to where we are now, I'm not sure there's a massive improvement in the football. I don't think I'm seeing any difference where Rob Edwards, if he had stayed on, I can't see any difference that Bilic has made, to be honest. So, yeah, just for the sake of, I can't be doing with another manager coming in until at least the end of the season. I'm Bilic in, but that's not because... Yes, but that's not because he's done anything miraculous or wonderful. It's just because I can do without any more disruption till the end of the season, and then we'll look at it again. And I'm sure it will be. I don't think he's going to be here next season.
Yeah, so it makes sense. And so we are 2-0 right now. Peter, surely this isn't going to be 3-0. This is going to be 2-1 here. This is going to because
there is a slight fractioning within the support base, but not entirely, because the difficulty is, and anybody who looks at Watford and thinks about all of the things that you'll see on the news will think that they know and they understand Watford. And of course, like every football club, it's a bit more nuanced than that. In this case, not so much. But because what has happened is over the last 10 to 12 years is every time something's not going right, there's a change of manager. And so we do a phone in, and it's changed a bit the culture. You'll have certain people who will come on the phone in and go, it's not going well, fire the manager. And you'll also have people who come on and now say, fire the manager, because the last manager was supposed to be being brought on this basis of a long-term sustainability. It was a different kind of cultural fit that we were trying to change. And they just went, nah, just rip that up, go back to where we were. And he got sacked after a league record of 3 wins, 5 draws and 2 defeats. So when you're on 13 games and 2 wins in the most recent for Slav, there's a number of people who are coming back saying, well, in that case, and on that same logic, why are we allowing him to stay? It's more about calling the owner out around the earlier faux pas than it is about saying Slaven's not doing a good job, because he's had that aforementioned injury crisis to deal with. He's had to deal with the technical director from hell, and then we've now got another technical director and another head of scouting, none of whom seem to be actually getting what he requests. So we appreciate the fact that we don't want a turnover all the time. We would like somebody to stay, but our suspicion is at the end of this season, he will probably be let go. And what will happen is a head coach will be brought in who is aligned to the new technical director. That is the very strong suspicion. But we also kind of get people who come on and go, well, maybe we're part of the problem. Because if every time something goes wrong, the discussion becomes about we'll change the manager, then we become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We don't want to be that. We would really like to be a club with a fixed identity that we can support and get behind. Like most football fans, that's what you want your club to do. You want it to represent you, not just be in constant turmoil.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, you guys turn managers over, like you said, like Carl wears changes his underwear. I mean,
thank you for mentioning my underwear again.
It's crazy. And it's like, I didn't think you guys got off to the worst start in the season. And then all of a sudden you make the manager change and it's like, okay, then you watch Watford, and I'm not going to lie, since we had you guys on to start the season, I had one eye on Watford because I was like, well, they're going to be, aside from Burnley, they're probably going to be our closest title or automatic promotion rivals. And then it's like Blades got off to such a hot start and had established a gap over the chasing pack, and it's like we're looking around for Watford, and it was like I was hoping we would be competitive with like the likes of Watford and Norwich, and now here it comes. It's Borough, as the wheels are proverbially falling off of the Blades train right now. But it would have been fun to have a little back and forth with Watford, and where you guys sit in the table, it's like if Blades do fall down, it's almost setting up like it's going to be a Blades and Watford playoff if the wheels come completely off. And I'm going to allude to this in our podcast, but if Blades drop out a second, I want us to drop completely out of the playoffs, because we're just going to get steamrolled by any team that plays us. But it's crazy how everybody's team, they have their individual problems, and then you look at you guys and it's like every 3, 4, 5 months it's just another manager coming in, and it's another it's the same thing when you're in the Prem too.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the theory there is what got you here isn't necessarily going to keep you here when we go to the Premiership, which is probably fair to say, and we've seen that be reasonable, but we've also seen the model sort of wear out, wear thin, and what it really comes down to is this lack of consistency in the direction we're going. I think the bringing in of this new technical director, who is Ben Manga, who came from Eintracht Frankfurt, who is one of, he was getting him is a real coup. We've also got a lady called Helena Costa, who is the head of scouting. She came across with him. She is former Benfica youth team coach, and back till kind of the start of the millennia, and then she's been doing some really good stuff. I think the long term looks like it's starting to plan. The problem is the long term is going head on with the what do we do now constancy that we have in terms of this turnover about it's not working this week, so Gino Pozzo, our owner, kind of changes the manager. It's difficult in terms of the football that we saw from Slaven Bilic. He did make an impact when he came in, because we talk about Rob Edwards as though what he did was really good. In terms of hard statistics, it was there. The football was woeful. It was rubbish. He was an idiot as far as I'm concerned. He played our best player from last season. I mean, he's ruined him for the season, who was a left wing back. We played him on the right side, and it was almost like he was trying to say, well, I want to play this shape, and you haven't given me a right wing back. And we've been discussing this all summer. So he played the least applicable person there, and then was surprised when we got undone lots and lots and lots of times. However, you've got to have sympathy for him, because as we said already, the transfer window to try and support him was a nonsense. It was rubbish. When Slaven came in, he put square pegs in square holes. Right, the phrase "square pegs in round holes." I mean, we've practically worn it out. Okay, but Slaven came in and did that, and he took us from where we were, which was 12th, up to around third. The injury crisis we've had has been unprecedented. We had 6 midfielders; every single one of them was injured. We went and got a free agent to come in. He got injured. We had one game against Norwich where we had 3 players go down with hamstrings. We've had a ridiculous number of things go against him. Now, there may be underlying reasons for that, and those have been debated long and hard. But dealing with that sort of thing in the middle of it, that's why people who've got sympathy for Slaven have sympathy for him. What we do like is his kind of Croat, kind of Balkans, straightforward talking. You know, when we've been shit after a game, he's come out and said we were shit. Yeah. And you go, oh, okay, I'll go with that. You know, somebody who's not just going to die on the hill of PR and, you know, bland stuff. He comes out and says it. So I think we've got time for him, but I think we can see that it looks like that there is possibly, again, another kind of fracturing between him on one side, the technical support team on another, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and like you said, at the end of the season, whether you get, you know, promotion or, I mean, go up through the playoffs or you stay in championship, you'll probably change managers again. And that's, I mean, at some point that has to stop, and they have to find a guy that they're going to, you know, back for a
that was supposed to be Rob Edwards, though. That was supposed to be Rob Edwards.
Like so... it to me, it doesn't make any sense. It's like in like you guys said at the beginning of the season, like they gave Rob Edwards all this backing and everything, and they're like, okay, we're not just gonna at the drop of a hat just take him out, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, he's gone. It's like, well, I mean, who would want to go into Watford and take the head coaching role?
Plenty of managers still want to do it. I mean, I appreciate that, you know, as I say, you look at it from the outside, it looks bonkers, but you've also got to appreciate, and I appreciate that we've been horrible for about 3 years, but we had 7 years under the Pozzos, under this model, that were unprecedented levels of success. That the only time we as a club, you know, we're a small commuter town on the edge of London, that there's no end of ease to get away from us, put it that way. And we had 7 years that recreated football, the likes of we only experienced under Graham Taylor and Elton John in the late 70s and, you know, kind of 80s. And you can tell by, you know, Graham Taylor was a god to, he is a god to our club, because he was just touched by the hand of God, literally. And Elton John. Now, there aren't too many Elton Johns around for us to be able to kind of enjoy. It has to be something pretty different. They came in with a plan and it worked. And the answer is there are always more coaches able to come in and play, because the Pozzos look at the coach, you know, far more as, I mean, to take a US sporting organization, they will see him as a head coach, literally that you would bring in, you would put him in, and then you'd take him out and you bring another one in, and he'd have all of the infrastructure of, you know, all the defensive coaches, all of the scouting, all of the organization, all of the other elements that will go around a team, and it's one role. The problem with soccer this side of the pond, and yes, I use soccer out of respect for your for your background there, but here, right, is the fact that the alternative is you bring in a manager and he rips out everything that's there and he brings in all of his stuff afresh. And one of two things happen in the Pozzo model as far as they're concerned. He'll succeed, in which case, like Marco Silva, he'll be poached by Everton after 9 games. And then you rip out all of that infrastructure and it goes, and then you're starting all over again. Or he'll fail as a head coach, just that role, preparing the team Monday through to Saturday, basically. That's the role. And if he does that, we want to be able to get rid of him and transplant him back in. Now, that worked for the first 7 years, but after about 7 years, you've been spending such a lot of money on compensation for salaries for head coaches, and normally their assistant will go as well. And we've ended up with this hodgepodge of support systems from some eras and some eras and some eras. There's just nothing cohesive anymore. What it needed, and what we said at the start, it needed a reset. It sort of got it. And then they realized, oh, no, it's not. And I think what they're trying to do now with this technical director from Eintracht Frankfurt, Ben Manga, is it needs it to be root and branch throughout all areas of the technical side of the club. So we will see. But I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him bring in shall we say, a German experienced coach. We've got one man whose name is always mentioned, not because he's connected, but he's almost like the Kaiser Soze. He almost represents this new stalking horse of a manager who's going to come in and play and understand what's needed with this new technical director. So we'll see if it happens. But we've got a 10-year track record that suggests that actually no, it can go on. It's odd, but there you go.
That makes sense. I mean, it's crazy because, Blades have been, I'd say, I guess once we installed Heckingbottom in middle of last year, and, we've been kind of in good form, and, we look back at last year, and if we would have just kept him in form from when we got relegated to the Prem, we probably would have been up last year. But, the past is the past, and it is what it is. But, now we've installed Hecky for which is going to be an entire season, and he gets us out to a comfortable lead in the promotion races. And then, I've said it before many a times, I don't think he's a very good in-game manager. He sets up a very well coached team and a very, very good team lineup to start the game. But in game, he locks up and he's like, oh, what do I do? What changes do I make? What changes do I? And, we haven't faced the stiffest competition in the championship because, to be fair, you have a certain amount of teams. And for the longest part, you could have said it was Blades and Burnley that were class above this division. And then everybody else were kind of in and around the same caliber of sides. And, anybody could beat anybody in this league. We all know that. But it's like now the Blades have kind of dipped down, and Borough are coming out of nowhere. They've had an unprecedented run in the last, 2 months. And so now Blades are having a wobble, and they look like they're the third best team in this league, and they're almost closer to the rest of the league than Borough and Burnley are. So it's,
I think it comes down to momentum. You got away with a running start, but there comes a point psychologically, and if you want to talk about a club knowing what it's like to get to Christmas and then stop playing, getting on the we're already on the beach is practically our club motto, it seemed, for the last few years, right? Is the fact that Burnley are probably too far away for you to catch. Yeah. And everybody else was kind of a little bit too far away to get you, unless somebody went on an extraordinary run. Enter Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough, and suddenly, you've got other diversions in the cup, classic stuff, in terms of that, and it's suddenly hard to maintain just to be able to be out in front all the time, never being able to quite catch the gold, but not being, not really being chased. So you're sort of semi easing up. You might be playing it safe in games because a point is good enough, and suddenly it starts to get, it's not good enough, and suddenly you've got to get back up that gear again. And it's very hard, as we all know in football, if you come down a gear, to get back up to the next one again. And your squad starts to become exhausted. We because of the injury crisis, we're hoping we actually get some impetus as we're now starting to see some of these players coming back. So some of those players that we've been speaking about, which kind of absolutely ruined our forward line and devastated the midfield, we've now got back. So we're certainly going to be hoping that come Saturday, and other games as well, that we've now got a bit of a freshness in our step, and that we've got a goal that we're going for. And I think that's somewhere where you guys perhaps find yourself.
Yeah, I mean, for the better part of I'd say a month, aside from the cup, we've been absolutely terrible in the league. We've just kind of been dragging along in the league, and we've just been good enough to get by the teams we're playing. When it should have been probably 1 point, we managed to scrap a goal late and take all 3 points. And I feel like the Middlesbrough defeat, if we played like we did in that game, and we played pretty good in that game, Middlesbrough, credit to them, they took their chances. 3 goals, we missed our chances, only got 1 goal. If we play like that, we're probably going to go up automatically. But also you look at prior to that, the games that we were kind of almost limping along and we weren't getting the best out of our midfield players and our attacking players and even our defenders. You know, we were still getting 3 points, and I thought that Middlesbrough game would be a wake-up call for us and be like, okay, Borough are on our heels now. This is not a, hey, from way back there, you took points off of us. That's cool, but you're still at a gap. Then you go and play Millwall, and you drop points again, and the gap tightens even closer. It's down to 7 points. Yes, we have a game in hand and all. I understand all that, but I think it's gonna get in between the Blades players' heads. And we're not dumb. They all are on the internet and they're on social media. They listen to what's being talked about. Is this a Blades wobble? Are they going to drop? Are Borough coming out of nowhere and going to jump them for second? Because we have such a tough run coming up. Is this going to be where the Blades wobble and inevitably fall away and Borough go up automatically? You've got to think the Blades are going to, Blades players are going to listen to that. And, it's how they respond to criticism. And I thought we would go and get a result. And we were second best against Millwall yesterday. We didn't even deserve to get 2 goals. But Millwall, they had defensive lapses and we got level. But then we go and have a third defensive lapse and Bradshaw nets a hat trick. And it's like, what are you doing? You give up 6 goals in 2 games.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's like, it's unbelievable. It makes me scratch my head. It's like, what's going on here? So, I mean,
to put a little bit of light on our season, I think, and I hope this is a little ray of light. Okay. Now would be a good time for us to find momentum. You're going to see positivity from me here.
I know. I'm strapped.
Stand by. Now would be a good time to put a run together for us. Okay. Now, in terms of playoffs and promotion, listen, it's always about the informed team that, if you're not in the top 2, it's about the informed team that gets through the playoffs. We've had a season riddled with injuries, proper injuries. A lot of key players have been injured. As Peter alluded to earlier on, it was a match where everybody's walking off with hamstring injuries. Okay. A lot of our players now are back. So we've now got João Pedro back, Losers back. We've also improved our squad immensely from the summer. So if we are going to do anything at Watford, now is the time. Okay, now is the time. So that's been our inconsistency. I don't, I don't follow Sheffield United, so I don't know what your inconsistency is. Although you have gone away to explain it there. But what I think our inconsistency is, it doesn't help chopping a manager out halfway through the season. Who are we kidding? 11 games into the season. But the injuries that we've suffered have been, fairly horrendous. And I think that if we are going to do it, now is the time. Having said that, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered if we get promotion. The club are bothered because they bet everything on promotion. Everything's all or nothing now, really. And there's going to be some serious ramifications if we don't go up financially because we've done the parachute money. So yes, it'd be nice to be promoted, but only if we're going to learn from the mistakes that we've made this season, improve on what we've done, and do something different going forward. Because we keep making the same mistakes, it's going to be back down again, and it's still going to be, suffering what we've suffered. Well, I say suffering this season. You could be Huddersfield, you could be Wigan. There's so many other teams below us that would go, what are you moaning about? Like you said earlier.
Right.
However, if we're going to do it now, we've got to do it now. It's starting tomorrow night.
Is this a war cry, Justin? This feels like a war cry.
I think they should go on to the Watford. I think they should play this before they go out.
Yeah. Your face going.
On the screens, mate. On the screens pre-match. Yeah.
His face. Nobody's seen his face. It's always half covered by a microphone. That's fine.
I like to keep a bit of mystery, Peter. But
keep it alive.
Sorry to rant off on your podcast there, but the fact is, there's no excuses now. You can't come on his injuries. No, well, they're back. Oh, well, we got no. You got a new technical director. Oh, was it? No. We're sorted. Go, do it now. And I bet you we won't because we've got no team spirit, no real pride in the shirt, and enormous wages where players know that there isn't really any pressure on their positions and they'll get picked anyway.
Yeah, no.
There's my note of
You were doing so well. You were doing so well.
I know.
And then he tailed off right at the end. He tailed off.
Dropped the plate at the end.
I'm going to be a little ray of sunshine for Sheffield United supporters here.
Here we go.
Because if I do anything well, it's pander to an audience. Obviously, you mentioned in terms of, because we've been looking at your last 5 games, and obviously, Hull 1-0. That's too close for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Rotherham 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that sends up the distress flares. Yeah,
boring.
But of the 2 defeats that you've just had, which are going to be, your Middlesbrough are on a roll like nobody has expected, nobody has seen. They also went and did, and this is one of the things that always makes me absolutely scream, is when people turn around and go, well, I think the manager and the people at the club know what they're doing. We've been asking for Cameron Archer for about 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew how good this kid was. Go and get him. And he lit them up. They played us off the park only a few weeks ago. They are the informed team in the Championship. You know this. Millwall have taken 6 points off of us. They've done us 5-0 over 2 games, right? Not even got to within a sniff of the goal. However, they tend to be a little bit like the rest of the Championship, which is they can be hot and cold. What people turn around and talk about Ismail Assar, and we go, really? Crikey, you want to see him when he's not on those little clips that they show on, because really for long periods of time, he's shit. The Championship is like that. Everybody is so inconsistent. You have hit 2 clubs who are really hitting it at the right time, who have gone into those games looking at you and going, these are 6-pointers. Middlesbrough knew that the other night, if they lost that, you were probably away and over the hill.
Yep.
They were far more motivated than your guys, who were a little bit, yes, performance anxiety, but also, they wwere caught in that mindset of, a draw's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a nightmare to have. You'd have had it again, and we know the coach at Millwall, Paul Robinson, because he's an ex-Watford legend, full stop. And they are very much in his and Gary Rowett's image. They are up at it. They are in your face. They also play a lot of football, which goes uncredited. We played there, and Bradshaw got a hat-trick against us as well. And then he didn't score for ages, and then he gubs you. It's one of those things that can happen and can come and get you. Obviously, we need the 3 points to try to get back in and around there when we come, when you come down to us. When we come up to you. And, we know that that's the case, but you are 1 or 2 games from sealing it back in, I think, genuinely. The challenge is Middlesbrough. You've finally got 3 teams who are doing it potentially consistently. You just need to find your stride again.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. It's just, it's been almost, I wouldn't say comfortable for Blades fans this season, but when we looked at, 10-point lead over third place, there's no way Blades can throw this away, and then we wobble, and it's almost like the fan base has, like you guys talked about, being split. It's just like, oh my God, we're gonna fall off and we're not gonna make the playoffs, or oh my God, this is just a blip in the road. Fulham had it last year when they went up, and we're still gonna right the ship, even though we're gonna have to run the gauntlet in the next, I would say, month. We're gonna have to run the gauntlet against better teams in the league, and for the better parts of this season, we haven't played the top teams all in a giant cluster. So it worries Blades fans, and if we come out of this, and Middlesbrough could be ahead of us, but you look at our very end of the season, our run in, it's just like you've got the likes of Cardiff, I think Huddersfield again. I mean, teams that we could should pick up 3 points, and it's like just pump the brakes a little bit. We still have 15, 14 games left in the season. It's all in front of us. It's all to do for the end of the season. I think we'll be all right if we come good, and I think we will come good. It's just teams in this. You play 46 games, you're going to have a blip. Burnley's going to drop points at some point. They're not going to win every single game all the way to the end of the season. That's just impossible. They're going to be one of the best teams ever in Championship history if they do it. Middlesbrough the same way. They're not going to go on a run and win every game on the way out. If they are, this is something historic we've never seen. And I mean, if they do, it's absolute hats off to them. Congratulations for running the absolute gauntlet and taking the most amount of points you possibly could in a season. Congratulations. But I mean, to have two teams that could absolutely go down in history as being two of the greatest teams in the championship, I think the odds are against them.
And with respect to you, and also with respect to Burnley, I think the inconsistency and it's been a poor league. We have been poor.
Mm-hmm.
We know why we have, and of course, don't get me wrong. We've sung a bad luck stories, etc. Every team over 46 games will have an equivalent or another story about it. I don't think the Championship has been as strong as it has been when we've been in it before. We've certainly been stronger in it before. And so I think Burnley are kind of getting away because they have just been monotonous. They've just kept going and kept rolling and kept rolling. We took 2 points off of them on last week, and we were 20 seconds away from taking all 3 points at their place. Did we play well? Not really. Did we work hard? Yes. Were we inspirational football wise? No. It's just this war of attrition that just keeps going and keeps going. And it was interesting because Burnley also played our local rivals Luton, so I was having an eye on that yesterday. Vincent Kompany knows how important it is to not step off the gas, because of what we said earlier on, stepping back on again ain't a possibility. Getting back up through those gears, you're too knackered. It's you're too strung out. It's just a question at this point in time of keep grinding it out as we get towards those last 10 games, and then in the last 4, 5 or 6 games, when those positions become available, potentially a level of motivation takes you over, because you're seeing the finish line, and you're knowing that you're having to put this in the middle of this, when there's still anywhere between about 20 and 6 games to go. It's just a war of attrition, and the thing that he's done is he's kept them going, and he's had some very, very good and an awful lot of recruitment, and they haven't come down with massive amounts of injury, so he's just kept them going. I think that's what it's taken to be outstanding in this Championship, personally.
I agree with you 100%. So to finish this up, let's go around the room. I'll start with Carl. Blades, Watford, final score predictions. What do you think? I'll go around. I'll leave it to everybody in the chat. Give me what you think goes, and it's okay to pick Watford over Blades. That's fine. Which you three probably will. I don't. It's going to be 3 against 1. But tell me what do you think the game comes down to, and give me your score predictions.
Well, I'm travelling up to Sheffield for that game, so that's an omen in itself, because I haven't really seen a fantastic performance away from home this season. I've seen wins, but
Stoke was good.
Stoke
Cast your mind back to late
Stoke
September.
were poor. Stoke were poor. They were probably one of the poorest sides I've seen.
Wow.
So, do you know what? If you give me a point away from home, I'd be over the moon with that. So I'll and we do like a draw at the moment. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in our game against West Brom, but yeah, if we don't get a positive result out of that, I might change my mind. But at the moment, I will say 1-1 draw.
Okay. Peter, what's your 5-0 Watford?
What? We're only getting 5 this time. No. I mean,
I don't know. I thought it'd be emphatic Watford win.
Well, on the 2 occasions that I've been to Bramall Lane, we've been gubbed 3-0 and 4-0. So fortunately, I'm not going in order to keep that curse away. I think if we look at our most recent games, as we said, we're drawing them because we haven't quite had the quality back and then fit enough to really kind of make a huge impact. So we will see a little bit. We've got the game tomorrow night, so that's Monday night. You played what, Friday night? So you've got
played Saturday.
Saturday night. So, but you've certainly got 48 hours on us in terms of recovery for a game this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Should be okay, because 4 days should kind of level out. I think it'll be a war of attrition, and it'll probably be won by 1 goal either side. I'm probably thinking that you might take it.
Okay. Wow, Justin?
Simply because I've never come away from Bramble Lane with anything other than, well, that was shit.
Oh man, this is going not the way I thought it was going to go. I figured it'd be like 2-0 Watford. Justin, come on, he's going to have the 5-0 emphatic win here.
Justin,
did Peter just go 1-1 as well? So
no,
you both saying 1-1.
I took a selection of results. I bottled the entire thing.
Yeah, he put everything out there on the table.
Right, so he's not nailed his colours to the mast. Yeah, it's going to be pretty poor. I think it's going to be attritional. I think it's going to be a 1-1. I think. Thanks for I can actually do that on this one because I don't have to choose a different score from Carl on this one. So yeah, it's going to be 1-1. I think.
Not making the rules up, Justin. That's why.
That's exactly what it is.
We're dealing with a normal human being.
Hey, we're not having a fight over our podcast here. Rules are there to be disobeyed. You know this.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a draw. I think we've done a lot of them recently. So let's have another one. It's like an art class. Watford, very good at drawing.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you guys. I think it's going to be a draw. I think 1-1. I mean, you guys pipped us at Vicarage Road early in the season, 1-0. First game of the season. Yeah, I mean, tough to draw anything off the first game of the season. But yeah, I think Blades form 1-1, probably 1 in the first half, 1 in the second half. Honestly, I couldn't tell you who scores first. I mean, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if it'd be a nil draw at that because I mean,
we don't score in the first half usually. I know we broke that against Burnley, but we don't tend to score in the first half. I think if you look at where our goals have come this season, first half goals are very rare. So if you're going to say it's a 1-1 and 1 in each half, it would be you, and we'll tie it up.
I mean, hell, we scored in the first 5 minutes against Middlesbrough, and we're like, oh my god, tails up, we're gonna smash them 3-0 and lost 3-1, and then Millwall, that game, and
those guys,
in
our good books.
Not a big fan of Millwall, but I don't see anything other than a 1-1 draw. I mean, it might be, like I said, 0-0, or it might be, Peter, like you said, an array of scorelines. I mean, it could be 1-0 either side of Watford in Burnley. So only time will tell. And we are recording this, like you guys said, before your guys' Monday Night Football. I'll be tuning in on the radio, listening to see what the opposition do against West Brom at home or away from home.
West Brom. We're at home.
At home at Vicarage Road, Monday Night Football. So I don't know when this is going up. If you have a chance to tune in, just give a glance at the opposition, see what they got. But that is going to do it for our episode, our video episode of the Red Half of Sheffield. So Justin, Peter, and Carl, where can we find, if people, neutrals are looking to find you guys on the internet, or Blades fans are looking to find you on the interweb, where can they follow you?
Well, I'm not on OnlyFans anymore. I've come off of that. I didn't get a lot of interest.
Yeah, bankruptcy was we really hit him hard there.
Damn.
There's so you can come to www.donotScratchYourEyes.com, which is our website, as you'd imagine, and that's got a link to all of the places that we've got in terms of podcasts, videos, and vlogs, matchday vlogs, and we also do kind of video blogs as well, and Instagram and pretty much you name it. But
TikTok.
TikTok, yes.
Oh,
yes,
you guys are on TikTok. Wow.
Yeah, we've gone for it.
No, look at us all. You wouldn't think we'd even know what it is, would you?
I was surprised. Exactly. Wow.
I know. Yeah. You'd think we just sit in rocking chairs picking our teeth, but no, we're down with the ute.
To be fair, I do that as well. But
don't come between a man and his rocking chair. That's all I'm saying.
Got to do something at weekends, isn't you? Yeah. So that's so we go to the website, donotScratchYourEyes.com. That's probably the place to go, and it's got links everywhere. And we're on Spotify, and we're on everywhere you can get podcasts, and we're on YouTube, and yeah. So
okay, cool deal. And you guys can follow us. I don't know why, if you're watching this video, you haven't followed our podcast, but we are at the Red Half of Sheffield on Twitter and Facebook. And you can follow me personally at cjarvis_13. And everybody that watches this video, thanks for watching. Thanks to the Watford guys. You guys are my favorite podcast to interview, because we actually have a conversation.
Oh, Chad,
so fun.
Chad, you're only saying that because you mean it. That's fine.
Yeah, I do mean it. I do mean it. It's not like I'm giving it an open-ended, oh, you guys are great. I mean, I was generally looking forward to doing this podcast because I was like, when's Watford on the schedule? Okay, it's not a midweek fixture. Thank God. I can get a week ahead and we can schedule a Zoom meeting with the Watford guys. So
the thing is, and especially about the Championship, is you follow football and your club not because it's perfect, but because it's a roller coaster. You'll worry about it. You'll fret about it. You'll talk about it. You'll cheer about it. Could you imagine what it must be like to be a Manchester City supporter? I mean, financial fair play notwithstanding, they're just sitting there going, "So, how many do you think we'll win by?"
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's
no fun.
That's a soulless existence. That's not a life.
Exactly. So,
well done to Nottingham Forest, by the way. Well done to Nottingham Forest.
Yes, true. They did go and get a draw yesterday. So, I appreciate it, guys, and thanks. And I'm going to give this little dig up the blades.